Happy September, Gaming Outsiders. On episode 362, Alyssa and Zack join me in answering questions from you, the greatest listeners on the planet. In news, we've got murmurings of an Alan Wake remake and Game Boy games coming to Nintendo Online. You'll also hear Alyssa's impressions of the adorable Kitaria Fables and Zack's impressions of Lake. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 362 of the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, September 6th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friend, Zack Parkerson.
How do you do, Scott?
I do all right. And Alyssa White.
Hi, I'm back.
You are back. Unfortunately, Chris Behrensmeyer could not join us this week. Believe it or not, today is his anniversary, and he was hemming and hawing about whether or not he should be here or go spend his anniversary with his wife. I was like, dude, go enjoy your anniversary. There's no way I would.
I think you made the wrong choice.
Happy anniversary, CB.
You think he made the wrong choice?
Well, yeah, I mean, happy wife, happy life should apply to us, the podcast.
But did you not want to see me, Zack?
No, I mean, I love you.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
you.
I love you too.
Yeah. Never mind. You know what? I hope CB gets hit by a truck.
Wow.
I don't want him hit by a truck.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm just kidding. I'm all fired up, guys. I'm sorry.
I apparently, I had to tell you guys, I actually got to meet up with one of our writers this week, Mr. Josh Ershman, who does some reviews for us. He was in town visiting some family, so I met up with him. CB and I and Christina stopped by to meet up with him over at the Old Chicago. And while I was there, I finished my 5th beer tour, which means nothing to you, but it was a lot of fun.
Old Chicago gets a lot of shout-outs on the show.
I like Old Chicago. Some people don't, but it's one of my favorite places to go. But it was really good to see Josh and his wife, Alicia, was also there, and it was really a good time just sitting down having a meal with them. And I think afterwards, CB invited them over to see his video game collection. I went home because I was exhausted, but CB texted me later and said the look on his face when he rounded the corner and saw the whole thing, it had been pretty glorious. So, also want to give everybody a heads up that the Gaming Outsider is now available on Amazon Music. So if you have that platform, you can listen to the show from there as well. So that was new this week. Really appreciate Amazon Music letting us be on there. Hopefully we get some more listeners over there. But let's talk about some games we've been catching up on. Alyssa, you got your hands on Psychonauts 2 finally this week.
I did. I'm only about 4 or 5 hours in, so I'm not very far.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play the first Psychonauts when it came out, or at any time, actually. But I'm loving the second one. I know. I'm playing it on Game Pass. I know the first one is on Game Pass as well. But I love the second one. It's helped me a lot this past week. I did go through a family matter. But it was just so bright and cheerful, and I just love the characters, and it's so colorful, and it's great. I love it. It's already like cracking the top 10, top 5 of my games of the year so far.
Yeah.
I'm only just maybe a quarter of the way through.
I've had people that don't normally play this style of game that checked it out because it was on Game Pass message me this week saying how much they were enjoying it. So that's the power of that game to me. It's just.
Well, I think that's the power of Game Pass, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The Psychonauts 2 would have appealed, I think, exclusively to people who played Psychonauts if it was a $60 thing.
That's true.
But on Game Pass, man, everybody's cracking the thing open.
And
I've been playing it more as well, and it remains tremendous.
I'm not very far. I'm actually probably not even as far as Alyssa is at this point, but
I don't know. Alyssa, have you gotten to Jack Black's character yet?
No, but I heard that he was in the game, so I'm really excited.
I didn't know that. Oh man, I really got to push forward.
He's
I know which character he is, but I don't know if it's a spoiler, so I won't say.
He's playing a very Jack Black character. It made me immediately watch School of Rock that evening after I got done playing.
That's a great movie.
It is, yeah.
What a good third act.
Oh yeah.
It all comes together.
The concert is just I've gone back and watched just that concert scene multiple times.
Yeah.
It's just really good. Well, cool, Zack, what about you? Anything you've been catching up on?
Unbelievably, I booted up No More Heroes.
No More Heroes 1?
The original, yes.
Okay.
I didn't even know they had ported these games to Switch,
It's on Switch?
Yeah, exactly.
I've wanted to play it for so long, and I never had a Wii, so...
I feel like, did they just put it out in the dead of night one day? Like, I had no idea.
Apparently, I didn't know about it.
It's like all remastered in HD. It looks good. You can use the analog controls if you want, so you don't have to use motion controls. It's like it seems like a pretty significant overhaul, and I guess just farted it out one day.
Well, if it doesn't have Zelda in the title, then apparently they don't care about marketing.
Right? Yeah, they barely mentioned Metroid, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I was mostly inspired because No More Heroes 3 came out and everyone said it was good, so I wanted to play the original, and man, I loved it. I played through the whole thing this week.
Oh
Wow.
Which is unusual for
how long is it?
It was like 10, 12 hours.
Huh. Just the right sweet spot.
Yeah, it was indeed. Oh man, and it's just the tone of the game. I absolutely loved it. I remember liking it when it first came out, but I don't know what it is at this point in my life. I think I love the absurd a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this game hit all the right notes. Just playing as Travis Touchdown, this otaku guy who thinks he's really cool, but actually is super lame, is pretty awesome.
That sounds like me, except I'm not a guy.
Yeah, it's fun because then he's also happens to be like a really capable assassin, right? But he's also just
I'm not an assassin, so there we go.
Well, you couldn't say it if you were.
That's true.
And it's just funny because he has these like really dumb one-liners that are so perfect. Where he's like, "If taste had a challenge, you would be delicious." It's like, what? Are you coming on to this guy? Very strange, but it's oh man. And there's a scene like after the credits or whatever that's just oh my god, delightful.
Yeah.
And all I want to do in the world now is play No More Heroes 2.
I was gonna say, are you gonna go through in preparation for 3 or?
Yeah, I'm a little bummed because 3 came out last week or maybe the week before. But it's a bummer because now Tales of Arise is coming out, which I've been very excited for. But I'm like,
oh yeah,
should I play this Tales of Arise game I've been looking forward to for years now, or should I replay this 2009 Wii game? You know, which one's important?
Well, what's interesting is you actually are contemplating which one am I going to do.
Dude, I don't know what it was about No More Heroes for a 30-year-old Zack that just struck all the right chords. I was absolutely in love. I was thinking about this Wii game at work. I was talking to customers about it. I was trying. It was on my brain all the time. I was downloading old podcasts to listen to what people thought of it at the time. I don't know what struck the chord with me, guys, but
you know, it's one of the frustrating things about doing a podcast like this is we talk about some of these games, these older games that we're catching up on, and I want to play them, and I just can't do it. There's so many freaking games to play right now. And the time is limited. I want to play that 13 Sentinels game you were talking about.
I do too.
So bad.
It's really good. It's well, that one's not even that old. It just came out at the end of last year. But
right.
But you're right. There's like that's you feel guilt whenever you play an old game.
Yeah, like this weekend. I mean, this isn't on my list, but I was playing a pinball game based on Portal, and just hearing those sound effects really made me want to get into Portal 2 again. Because it's been a couple years since I've played through it, and that game's just a delight to go through. So I installed it, and it was a long install, and so I haven't fired it up again. But I really want to go through and play that again. Halloween's coming up. I haven't played through Dead Space 2 in quite a while, so I think I don't know. I just want to kind of take a break and just go back and catch up on some old games, man. Maybe stream it. Maybe that'll make me feel less guilty, like I'm accomplishing something.
Sure, watch you play in your blanket.
Yes, I play with. I don't know why.
Do you get scared with horror games?
No, it's not a scared thing. I just like to. I play in the basement, and it's a little chilly, and I have these super comfortable throw blankets. Like one is Legend of Zelda themed, one is like an NES controller themed, and anytime I sit down to play a game, I just cover myself up with a blanket. It's very comforting.
I mention it because I don't tune into many streams, granted, but when I watched you stream once, I was very surprised to see you just chilling on the couch with a throw pillow or throw blanket on. It's not what I expected.
It's comfy, man. I like it. What can I say? And there's enough to go around. So if you guys ever come over, I've got plenty of throw blankets to share. Yeah. As for games this week, I have been playing more Aliens Fireteam Elite. Zack, I know we kind of had that. I really am. Nate, who can hear us because he's producing this show, I've been playing with him and CB. Also Kevin from our writing team. Kind of going off back and forth between those guys. I wish I could have played more. They keep inviting me to come play, and I've just been too wiped out to go further. But I've finished half of the campaign, half of the missions. There's like 4 main missions, and they're broken up into 3 segments each. I finished the first 2, and I'm to the point where I really don't care about the story at all, which is why this game doesn't appeal to you as much, Zach, because I'm literally just cycling through the dialogue options, and I'm just having a blast running around shooting aliens. The teamwork aspect is great. I miss having a game where you could just sit and have conversations with people interspersed with strategy for whatever is going on in this game. Like, put a turret down here and do this, and I don't know. I'm absolutely not regretting my purchase, and I was regretting my purchase when we were first playing it, Zach.
I mean, I'm glad it turned around for you, although I would argue there are probably 100 games that you could do that with.
Probably, but I think the IP appeals to me.
Right.
I actually did go back and started the Alien movies over again, just because they're so good. They're just really good. I gotta find a place to.
It struck you, so it made you. Yeah, that's good stuff.
It's good. Also,
I'm not.
go ahead.
I'm not deeply into Alien. Maybe that's the hang up. I like the aesthetics of Predator more probably.
Oh, I think Predator is cooler. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, I do too.
He looks cooler, but there's something about the way they shifted those films from like a straight up, locked in place horror film to an action film, and then back to kind of locked in a little bit with the third one, and then just went ridiculously bonkers with Resurrection, which is, I will argue, is not a good movie, but I just still enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah, it's not a good movie, but it's fun.
How do you feel about Prometheus, huh?
Man, I was so excited for Prometheus, and I was disappointed the first time I watched it because it just kind of went all over the place. It's one of those where I like it better the second and third time I watch it. I feel like I need to go rewatch it again because I still don't fully understand. But that's kind of like the origin, right? That's like that thing they come across in the first movie is like how that movie ends, right? If I remember correctly.
I've only seen it the one time, but I believe so.
Yeah,
it was hard. It was hard to finish Prometheus, so I don't really remember.
Yeah, wasn't as bad as that other Alien one. Like, what was Alien?
Covenant.
I
didn't bother.
I actually enjoy. It's not a great movie, but I had fun with it.
All I remember is Michael Fassbender playing a flute to himself.
That was a stupid moment, I will admit.
That was dumb, but anyway, do you guys remember a couple weeks ago I talked about picking up a copy of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle on Switch? I got it for cheap for like $10. I finally cracked into that game this week, and I think it's official, man. XCOM style games are just not for me.
Not even with the Nintendo paint, huh?
It was at the beginning. There's something in my brain that just does not work for that kind of strategy. I cannot wrap my brain around the correct way to do that game. It's not a fault of the game because everybody loves it. I think it's an interesting little package, but I got to the first boss, got frustrated, and I feel like I'm ready to move on and play something else. The Mario isms that are buried into it are really good. There's some clever puzzling, but I find myself more excited trying to just go through the world and search for the hidden items and everything instead of the battles. Whenever I get to a battle, I'm just like, all right, here we go again. What I gotta do? I don't know. It's a me problem, not a game problem. There's just something that doesn't click in my brain for these games. But
now, did you like Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre? Those kind of games? Oh, okay.
I know. Don't hate me.
I don't hate you. I haven't played them either.
I've never played the first Final Fantasy. I only played the Game Boy Advance one they did. So I think that makes me somehow worse than you, actually.
I think that would be different because the story in Final Fantasy games are interesting, whereas in a Mario game, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's really, really dumb. But the Rabbids are cute and funny. They remind me of Minions, which is funny because I think the Rabbids actually came out before the Minions did.
Yeah.
They were, I think. Yeah, I think Michelle Ancel had a good litigation opportunity there.
Yeah. But it's not a terrible game or anything like that. It's very well made. It's the tutorial's pretty good. I cannot get the strategy down. I think that's just something in my brain. And something like, also, you were talking about Final Fantasy Tactics. There's something about the grid base aspect of that gameplay that I think would appeal to me more than, because in this one, it's all about getting around your enemies and choosing whether to do a team up deal with one of your partners to launch across the map and get, behind advantage, which I get that, but it just feels like a lot to manage. I don't know. I just I just sat there thinking to myself, I really just want to do I want to be playing a Mario platformer right now. That's just all I want to be doing. I wish I had Mario Galaxy 3 or something to play. So, again, not a terrible game, just one that just doesn't click with me personally. But let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Few things to talk about this week. Alan Wake looks to be getting a remake, and also there are murmurings of Game Boy and Game Boy Color games coming to Nintendo Online. Sony is changing course for the PS4 to PS5 upgrade, specifically with Horizon Zero Dawn. And also this week, a guy on Kickstarter pulled a project for some hand-drawn game guides, at least for now, which is I put this story in here because it's interesting to me, because I actually kickstarted that one, but I know it may not mean anything to you guys. But with all this to talk about, Alyssa, what story intrigues you?
You guys could probably guess, but it's Alan Wake.
Yeah,
hell yeah!
Just hearing about a remaster, I would love a sequel, but that has not been confirmed. The remaster, if it exists, I will play it the first day it comes out because I love this game so much, and I think they improve the graphics and some other little issues it had, it could be a really great. It is a really great horror survival kind of game, but it could be even better, and it could reach more people now. And I'm just so excited.
Zach, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, of course, man, it's one of the great games, right? Alan Wake is a treasure of a game. I couldn't tell you how many times I played through it when it came out. So yeah, give me a remaster, be on PlayStation for the first time. That's pretty exciting.
That's true.
And I don't think this beckons Alan Wake 2. I think this is probably more of setting the stage for his return in this universe they're building or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's great. I mean, Alan Wake it might be Remedy's second best game, because Max Payne 2 will always hold the crown for me.
Sure.
But Alan Wake 2 is just so good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just Taiwan, which is a country, by the way, has been pretty good about listing these leaks. It's pretty reliable.
Yeah, there's no official word yet. There was just basically a retailer in Taiwan that listed it on one of their websites, saying that it was going to be releasing on October 5th, which is perfect. That's right in the heart of Halloween season, so that's good. I mean, I know it's not really a Halloween game, but it's creepy.
Yeah.
For me, what's interesting about this is I haven't played this game since launch. I beat it at launch, but if you remember, this came right in the middle of Red Dead Redemption and oh my goodness, Super Mario Galaxy 2. So I played through. I didn't play Red Dead Redemption all the way through. I got to Mexico before I gave up. But I completed Super Mario Galaxy 2 100%, did everything that I could, and beat Alan Wake, and played through a good chunk of Red Dead Redemption 2, all within a span of a month. So going back to Alan Wake is going to be like starting it for the first time again, because I barely remember the story. I remember some of the Night Spring stuff, and I remember it being cool, but it will be really fun to go back into it again. I will definitely be picking this up, especially coming out of Control, because I haven't played the DLC for Control yet, so it'll be fun to go replay Alan Wake and then go back and dive into the DLC for Control to see the connections there, and also for hopefully the inevitable sequel, which I say inevitable. I just kind of assume that Alan Wake 2 is going to happen at some point, right?
I mean, I need closure with the story.
I think you'll see more of Alan Wake. I just don't think we'll see it in Alan Wake 2. That's all. I think because they mentioned they're building a Remedy universe or whatever. But you could see Alan Wake again when they have their Avengers moment, where all their protagonists, where Shawn Ashmore teams up with Jesse Faden and Alan Wake.
Oh man, that sounds awesome.
It does.
Doesn't that sound pretty rad?
Yeah.
This is the opportunity to get David Bowie's Space Oddity back into Alan Wake. So I don't know if you remember, they had to do this from Steam because they could no longer afford the rights for that song, which is used pretty expertly in the game. So I hope this is the chance for them to get the funding to relicense it.
because it'll be absent otherwise, right? I wonder if it's in there now.
Yeah, they said what song replaced it, but it was a case of it was one price to license when the game came out, and then another price to license after David Bowie died, and it was much higher the second time.
That makes sense. Anyway, bring it on. More Alan Wake. I think we're all excited for that one, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that in October when it releases, which, man, we're only a month away at this point. That just kind of... And it hasn't even been officially announced, right? Like, there's a PlayStation event coming up this week that I assume is going to be announced there. Like, they kind of have to, now that the cat's out of the bag or something. I don't know. Zach, what are these stories interest you?
I guess credit where it's due. Sony did something right,
which
is pretty rare. They walked back the. It was originally going to cost, or there was originally no path to go from PS4 to PS5 with Horizon Zero Dawn, unless you bought the super fancy like $100 digital edition. But now PS4 gets a free upgrade to PS5. So everybody out there, be sure to buy a PS4 copy because there's no reason to pay the extra $10 for the PS5 version.
Yeah, but they said it's unfortunately going to be one of the last games to offer that free upgrade path. So it's like, yeah, this is great, but then that's it.
The only other one that had it though was Sony was Miles Morales.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the original Spider-Man, you had to do that wonky like $20 upgrade thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
and Ghost of Tsushima
was also
that was even weirder.
Yeah. They've been weird about all of this stuff. I am happy they finally just said it'll be a $10 upgrade for like digital versions or whatever. So finally they have like something on record.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. Because I don't know if did we talk about this last week? This Horizon news? But they had it listed with games that would have free PS4, PS5 cross buy, and then just straight up lied when they reneged on it. I think that's what made them actually change it back.
Because they said it first.
Yeah, like way back when the PS5 was announced.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the right call. I just, I mean, it's something that we kind of expect at this point. But you remember back like when the last like the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation was moving to PS4 and Xbox One, you had to just straight up buy the game. There was no upgrade. It just didn't exist.
It also depended on the game. Like Assassin's Creed was a $10 upgrade. Black Flag.
Are you sure? Because I didn't buy it digitally. I had it physical. I bought 2 copies of that game.
No, I mean, I know I only paid $10. I can't remember if I put my No, you put your PS3 disc in it, and it would let you pay $10 to download a digital version on PS4.
Man, I don't know. It's been a while. I don't know if that existed with Xbox 360 or with Xbox because
I can't speak to Xbox.
Man, I mean, I waited for like a sale, like when Black Flag got down to like $15 or something like that, but.
Right, but that was also nearly 10 years ago, and the conversation now is just everybody else is doing it for free, so it just makes Sony look bad every time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Same old story.
The expectation has changed. It's also bad when your direct competitor is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And of course, conversations like this, if you see it on Twitter, it just immediately goes into the rabbit hole of console wars, which is annoying.
I can't wrap my head around the person who's defends the giant billion-dollar corporation trying to make you buy the same game twice.
Yeah.
Especially when people would respond to them with the actual quote where they're like, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn will have free dual entitlement when it comes, and they're like, yeah, but they didn't mean it this way. I'm like, it says it right there, man.
It's pretty cut and dried.
Yeah, it is very, very bizarre, the fanboyism.
And to be clear, I would say the same thing if it were Xbox doing it. It's not me being a fanboy.
Right.
I feel like we get a lot of flack for throwing some shade at Sony right now, but it's calling it what it is.
Hey man, I play almost exclusively on PlayStation.
Right.
But you gotta hold the things you love to a higher standard, people. Like that's, what they can be at their best, hold them to it.
Agreed. I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about both of these stories, but first off, the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games coming to Nintendo. No, it's not official, but was corroborated by a couple sources. I'm excited about this possibility. Game Boy game and Game Boy Color games, they may not have aged as well, but there is some nostalgia with some of those games, and I would just love to go back and play those. Remember when we talked about the Super Nintendo last week, Zach? You were talking about like the Super Game Boy where you could put it on there and watch it, play it on your TV.
Speaking of, our listener Jordan Derringer reached out to me and let me know that you could put Game Boy Color games on N64.
Really?
Yeah, there was a transfer pack. I did not make it up. You could bring your Pokemon into Pokemon Stadium from your Pokemon save.
Okay.
I remember that, yeah. That's the only game I played on N64, by the way, was Pokemon Stadium. And then I sold my console after years and years because that's the only game I had.
What?
I just played the crap out of Pokemon Stadium.
You didn't feel like rocking out Quest 64?
No.
I wish you were here last week.
Played Mario 64?
No, I have not.
Oh my goodness. We got to break this. We got to break the seal coming here for Alyssa.
You could break the seal in Star Fox in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's a very short game.
But I mean, as a kid, since my uncle only played PlayStation, and then I got the Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red, I just knew of Pokemon. That was like the only game in my conscience that I was like, Game Boy game, N64 game, Pokemon. So that's all I knew.
It's interesting. Do you think we'll ever see N64 games on Nintendo Online?
At the speed it's going, it would take until 2028.
Yeah, probably.
However, and I'm sorry, I know I totally derailed the conversation because I had to correct you. This would be very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I would love a great, easy way to replay. There's a Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color that I would love to revisit.
Oh, I was terrible at that game. I tried it, and I couldn't do it.
It was so great because kids in real life, nobody knew the rules to the card game, and even if you tried to teach them, they didn't care because they just wanted to trade for the holographics or whatever. But I wanted to play the actual game, and no one wanted to play with me, so I had to play it on the Game Boy.
I never knew the rules.
Nobody cared.
I was like, look at the pretty card.
Yeah, but it was so funny because in Yu-Gi-Oh, everybody was dead serious about the rules, but for some reason...
I didn't know the rules about Yu-Gi-Oh either, but really? I was still obsessed with the cards. So I was just like, I gotta have the cool-looking cards.
We're from a different generation, Scott, based on your glazed-over eyes there.
Well, yeah, I have been playing some Pokemon Fire Red, and I feel like if I had been the right age, it would have been a great series for me, but now that I'm 41... it's a little bit different story, but I actually owned a Pokemon card, a singular Pokemon card back in the day. I used to work for a company called Landstar, and there was a Pokemon called Swordsman of Landstar, which was random, and I found it, and I had to have it just so I could put it up on my wall at work. I thought it was kind of cool. Actually, it might have been Yu-Gi-Oh! Now that I can't remember.
Or Magic? It sounds like a Magic card.
It was not Magic because it was not...
Pokemon.
It was very cartoony. It wasn't when I think of Magic, I think of a little more dark.
I think Alyssa suggested Digimon,
maybe, I don't know.
I didn't think about Digimon.
So it's a
I never really watched Digimon.
Anyway,
Digimon's great. Okay, hold on, let's hold the phone, everybody. Digimon's great.
No, I never watched it. I'm sorry.
Are there any Game Boy games besides Pokemon that you guys would like to see on Nintendo Online?
Well, I think having the original Link's Awakening would be very cool, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm sure there are like great Game Boy Color games I'm just not remembering. But for me, it really started with Game Boy Advance.
Oh, really?
That's when they got great. And of course, if they did that, they could put frickin' Metroid Fusion up there.
Mm-hmm. I think they should just do that anyway. But
yes,
that's besides the point.
Yeah, I don't. Do you remember
Final Fantasy Adventure? I remember playing that. Was pretty good. The Mario Land, Super Mario Land was okay, but Super Mario Land 2 was really good.
Is that the 6 golden coins?
Yes. That was the one where Wario was introduced.
Yeah, that one's great.
Mm-hmm. I'd have to rack my brain to come up. I remember playing some shmups on that one that I enjoyed a lot. There was a motorcycle. Oh, there was a Castlevania game on that one that was actually pretty good too. I think the really good ones didn't come till Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy Advance, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. speed this along. So 2025 we'll probably get the GBA, and then that'll ramp us up for the 2028 release of N64 Online.
By that point, we'll have a Switch 2, right?
Right, or PlayStation 6.
Yeah. I did want to mention real quick before we go on is this hand-drawn game guide on Kickstarter. And I don't know if you guys even heard about this story, but
I did.
You did hear about it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This was something I actually kickstarted because I actually own a physical copy of the Zelda one because I follow Kickstarter, and obviously my phone is listening to me and knows that I like The Legend of Zelda. So he creates these game guides that are, you remember when you were a kid and you like made your own maps of whatever game you were playing? He's done that, but he's done it to, full color, to almost where it looks like a comic book style. So you got the maps, then you got artwork on the side of it showing some of the enemies and things. It's really, really cool. And he had such success with releasing those that he decided to do a Kickstarter because he wanted to do versions of it for the Zelda, for the Metroid, for Ninja Gaiden, and also for Contra. And I actually, like I said, kicked it to get all of them. And he hit his goal within like less than 24 hours. And his goal was only like 50,000 or something like that. And by the time he pulled the plug on this thing, it was over $300,000. And the game's media immediately went nuts and assumed that he was getting cease and desist notice from Nintendo. And there were articles written about it. And this guy, his name is Philip Summers. I got to give this guy props because the way that he's handling this, he's been the most professional, most not talking smack about anybody. He's been approaching some media outlets and saying, look, this isn't what happened. He hasn't named a company by name, but he said that, look, nobody has shut me down. I shut this down after talking to my lawyers and, realizing that we could potentially get into some trouble if we didn't have our T's crossed and I's dotted. So we pulled the plug before anybody was charged, basically. And he's still working at making this happen. But man, he also said the conversations with whichever company did approach him have been good. Like he's not, coming at this like, how dare you? He understands that these are, his books are based on existing properties that are very popular, and he's trying to make a way to make it work. And I just gotta applaud the guy. I think it's really cool the way he's handling it. He's being very professional, very mature about it, which we don't really see too often nowadays. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, props to pulling out before the money was withdrawn from people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the way he said it is that if they did that and he had to refund everybody, then Kickstarter would still take their cut. And then he just basically loses money. So it's not 100% altruistic, but yes, it was a good call to do it before then. Yeah,
I mean, it was just smart. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
he hit all of his stretch goals and everything. Like everyone was going to get like an embossed book with like golden edges and stuff on it. It was going to be a big deal. I was really looking forward to it.
So the obvious answer, right, is that the big company is Nintendo, presumably.
I mean, that's the assumption, but you got to remember with Contra and Ninja Gaiden, it could be that's Konami and
Capcom. Is it Capcom?
I can't remember who. I'm drawing a blank.
I'm not sure it's Capcom.
Tecmo, yeah, that sounds right.
What if the big company's Prima Games coming back strong?
There you go. You can have a partnership there.
Oh yeah, I used to have so many Prima Game strategy guys.
I do too.
I still have a stack unnecessarily.
So do I. Final Fantasy ones that I'll never use again. Final Fantasy VIII. I used to do the Triad game. Remember the card game that was in Final Fantasy VIII?
Yeah. Triple Triad.
Yeah. Triple Triad. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was
walk up to people at the urinal and play Triple Triad.
Have a conversation. Hey, by the way, you want to play this game really quick?
I'm the one who murdered your father. Okay, that's great. Real quick though, you want to play Triple Triad?
That's pretty much how it went down. Good times. Well, let's go ahead and move on. I want to remind everybody that we are an independently funded podcast, which means we are looking for help to keep the show up and going, and we do so with a Patreon. Listeners have the ability to contribute to the cause and basically help us keep the lights running over here, and we reward them with some bonus episodes. As of right now, we've got our it was Zack and I that sat down and did a 12 minutes spoiler cast. I highly recommend you checking that out. I think I mentioned it last week, but I think that's the most I've heard Zack swear in 45 minutes. He was obviously
I might have set a personal record.
Yeah, possibly. It was like the South Park movie level of
yeah. So,
of
if you're dying to hear that.
Yeah. So also we have another episode promised for you from the month of August. We are still going to do our Pokemon episode. Unfortunately, we had some scheduling conflicts at the last minute, so we're going to be recording it later this week. So that's coming, and we're still going to do 2 episodes in the month of September as well. We've got Sean Coates wanted us to do a Retro Outsider episode on a specific Indiana Jones game on Super Nintendo, and we might dive into some other ones as well. And then CB wanted to do an episode talking about all of the... remember how we've been talking about those games that have been going... in the collector's market have been going for like millions of dollars? Apparently there is a whole bunch of fraud going on with that. And he said that
not the fraud you might expect.
Yeah, we assumed money laundering, but it's actually it goes a little bit deeper than that. So we're going to do an episode on that so that we can unpack all the details on that and share our thoughts on that. So stay tuned for that. But outside of that, all new patrons get access to all of our prior content as well. So if you sign up now, you get access to all of our Retro Outsider episodes, all our games that aren't for us, all of our legacy episodes, anything that we've ever talked about. Spoilercast is all available for you. All you got to do is head over to patreon.com/thegocast. Sign up today, and it helps us out a great deal. And in the future, you might get to hear Alyssa talk about her first experience with Mario 64, because we're going to make her play that game.
Oh, okay. I'm going to love it.
It gets tough towards the end, just saying. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the newer games of the week. Zack, this list is getting longer and longer each week.
I looked at the list. It's huge.
Yeah, and there is so many substantial releases too.
I know.
I think if you guys wanted to replay Dead Space 2 or No More Heroes, you got about 3 days to do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
before it all starts running off. Right off the bat, coming September 7th is Chernobylite, the sci-fi RPG coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Encase makes its way to PC September 7th. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. So if you wanted a vampire battle royale, there's your answer. Coming to PC September 7th. Very cute looking game, Crown Trick, coming to PS4 and Xbox One September 7th. This game looks really cool, but again, with the unfortunate release date, Fist Forge and Shadow Torch is coming to PS5 and PS4 September 7th. This is the hardcore M-rated game where you play anthropomorphic rabbits and stuff, but you have like mech suits and you're just murdering each other.
It looks awesome.
Friggin' rad. It looks like it's carrying the tone I thought Biomutant was going to have based on its marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic Colors Ultimate, which has taken a beating online, is coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC September 7th. Buyer beware, apparently the Switch version of that is barely playable.
I saw some video on it. It like just straight up glitches out. Like it goes to static randomly, like in the middle of jumps and stuff like that. But the developer said they were working on a patch.
Well, it's good that they're working on a patch to a Wii game.
Yeah.
Anyway. They have Sonic 06 PTSD flashbacks. Blood Rain Betrayal, Fresh Bites, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC September 9th. That is the way forward 2D action reboot of Blood Rain. For this Fresh Bites version, they have full voice acting with, you guessed it, the only 2 actors working today, Laura Bailey and Troy Baker.
Seems like it.
It really does. The Artful Escape, coming to Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC September 9th. Interesting looking action game, Ultra Age, coming to PS4 and Switch September 9th. Dude, the voice acting in the trailer is wretched, but the game looks pretty fun. It looks almost like a Devil May Cry, but in the world, like the atmosphere looks like Monster Hunter. Anyway, Kraken Academy comes to PC September 9th. Big release, Life is Strange True Colors, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Stadia, coming September 10th. This is the new, obviously, Life is Strange game, not made by Don't Nod, however, although all 5 of the episodes are included in the release, so you don't have to wait if you're not into waiting. Fun fact, if you guys are into the world of games media, Ryan Clements, former IGN editor, wrote this game.
Oh,
cool.
Very, very, very cool. Lost in Random, the EA indie game coming to PS4, Xbox One, PC September 10th. That game looks really cool and is also a victim of release date. From Earth to Heaven coming to Xbox One, Switch, and PC September 10th. The Rewinder coming to PC September 10th. NBA 2K22, which will sell about 19 million copies, is coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC September 10th. Port Royale gets its next-gen upgrade with PS5 and Xbox Series console release September 10th. Tales of Arise, a game I've been looking forward to for a very long time now, is coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC September 10th. And then finally, big Nintendo release, WarioWare Get It Together, coming to Nintendo Switch September 10th. Big reboot of the franchise. Guys, that's a lot of games.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
I will tell you, there's a couple games I'm interested in. I know it's getting a lot of flack, and it is an old game, but I've never played Sonic Colors, and I'm not playing it on Switch anyway. So I'm hoping that the Xbox version is decent, because it looks fun, man. It really does look a lot of fun.
Big proponent of Sonic Colors here. I always said that it's the closest you'll get to Mario in a Sonic game.
That's speaking to my wheelhouse, man.
Yes.
And I'm also intrigued by Life is Strange, just because I've loved the Life is Strange games. I get a little nervous because I feel like those games have gotten a little on the nose with its message in the last couple games. And I don't know. I hope maybe since it's not Don't Nod, we won't have that issue, but I kind of just assume that it's going to be that. But I'm still intrigued enough to play. I haven't played one of those games in a while. Remember we were getting Telltale games like every other month?
Oh, yeah.
I just haven't had anything like that in a while, so I might give it a shot. What about you, Alyssa?
Definitely Life is Strange. A huge fan of all the games and Tell Me Why, which is not part of the universe, but I love the games, and Deck 9 did a really good job with Life is Strange Before the Storm. Mm-hmm. So really looking forward to this and to have more Steph in the game. She was a character in Before the Storm. And she's getting her own DLC, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to Life is Strange. And then also Tales of Arise. I love the Tales of series. This is a huge update to the franchise because my favorite of so far has been Tales of Vesperia, and this is a far cry from it. Let me tell you. I played the demo, loved it, and I cannot wait to play the full game.
Zack, did you play the demo?
I have not played the demo. I've been weird about it because I know I want to play it, so I'm like, do I really want to, play the demo? But I hear, and I guess Alyssa can confirm that it's somewhat removed from like narrative context. It's just like a more of an actual just gameplay demo. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I need to.
There are conversations, and you get to see the upgraded conversation system. No longer just like little squares with static images and the characters talking. It's like comic book style now, and it's just more natural. Looks better.
Okay.
Get a little bit of story.
Is it like Scarlet Nexus's cutscenes, or did you play that?
I haven't played that one yet, so I can't actually comment.
Fair,
but it's a lot better.
Okay,
I assume that's what you're playing this week.
That's definitely the game I'm most excited for. I've been looking forward to for a while. I've never really played a Tales game that much beyond just a few hours of Berseria, so this is kind of my introduction to the franchise, and I think the game's kind of designed for that, based on the fact that they took a few years off, and it clearly has a much more significant budget than it previously had, right? So it looks like they upgraded from fast food to casual counter food. I don't know how to. They went from a McDonald's to a Chipotle. It feels like, and it looks very exciting. And then Ray Chase voices the lead, which is great because now he's been the lead of a Final Fantasy, a Nier, and a Tales game. So he's just knocking them all out.
There you go.
Getting all those JRPGs.
He's been the JRPG dude. But then it sucks because then like Fist I think looks really cool and really original. I would love to replay Sonic Colors. I never did play Blood Rain, so I think that would be really fun, especially with Laura Bailey.
I love Blood Rain, but I want the style it was back then instead of being 2D. Like, I don't know. I want a 3D
it was
one.
third person melee combat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Blood Rain 2 it had a lot of acrobatic stuff. It was like Prince of Persia, but with a vampire.
Yeah.
It was
I love those
so
games.
Good. Yeah.
Vampires killing Nazis.
I know they've been remastered for PC, but bring those remastered consoles, man. I want to play those games.
Yeah. I want to play them again too.
Absolutely.
I want to play them for the first time.
Life is Strange 2 was a huge turnoff for me. I thought that game was bad in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I've read Ryan Clements has written a few short stories over the years, and I've bought and read those, and they were actually very good. So I think he's got the chops to do an adventure game. So I'm definitely intrigued, but you came out the same day as Tales of Arise, and it's not going to happen.
I know.
I don't know what it is about Tales of Arise that caught my eyes all those years ago, but it really has. And I've been watching, I watched all the character trailers and stuff. I'm very excited. You can farm for no reason in this game. Very exciting.
Well, speaking of farming,
not grinding.
Yeah. Speaking of farming, let's go on to the new games you guys have been playing. Alyssa, you've been playing a game called Kitaria Fables, which, if I'm not mistaken, has some farming elements in it. This game looks adorable, but I really don't, maybe not. Maybe I misread the trailer. I have no idea what's going on in this game. Can you explain to us what Kitaria Fables is?
Okay, it is a very adorable game. Let me get that out of the way. It's so cute, it hurts. But the farming aspect is very downplayed. You don't even have to really do it besides a few side quests.
Oh, okay.
And it's not really an RPG, even though it's marketed as one, because you don't gain experience from battling. You only get some buffs from crafting new armor or a new sword or bow. And it pains me to say this, but it's just, I haven't been having too much fun with it.
Uh-oh. What do you do? Is it...
It's all grinding. The whole entire game.
Oh, no.
And I've just finished it, and I wanted to love it so bad. And I will have a written review. And I feel really bad for not enjoying it more, because it's made by a 3-person team.
Oh.
And it's obvious they love the game, but it's just, it wasn't for me.
It's got cats in it. How do you not like it? Just loving this game?
Well, it was inevitable.
All the grinding.
All the grinding. Not like the game eventually.
That's true.
And every single side mission's a fetch quest. So I'm just like,
man.
no, I wanted to love it.
Did you did you try throwing on like an audiobook or a podcast or something and just zoning out? Or are you just not into grinding at all?
I don't mind it every once in a while in games, because most of the time in, JRPGs, you gotta grind some. I just don't want to do it the whole entire game.
So it's like it feels more like the main stuff is side questy stuff, and then the side quests are the main stuff?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a bummer. I'm sorry you're not enjoying that. Have you had any fun with it? Any positives, or has it just been pretty much a grind?
It's been pretty much a grind, and it makes me sad to say that. Like, I don't like disliking games.
No, but hey, you got to be honest with what you played. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, Kitaria Fables. I was not expecting that reaction after watching that adorable trailer. I thought you were going to be all over this.
The trailer is super adorable, and the game itself is adorable. And I came across a weird glitch, which Scott knows about.
Mm-hmm.
But for a week, I couldn't even access the title menu to start the game up. It just wouldn't let me. And then all of a sudden, one day, it was like, you can play again.
Yeah, they must have done some kind of patch. Like, you showed me a screenshot, like it says on the screen, press A to do whatever, and the A button was replaced with a international no sign, which was
it's like, no, you don't play.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, you can't play it, but... Anyway, Kitaria Fables, which you played on Xbox, but it's available on other consoles as well. Let's move on to Zack's game. I know you had been talking about this, and you played this on an E3, 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago?
No, I played it. I played it for the first time at this year E3 when Xbox did that weird digital demo rollout thing.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it was this year. So the game is called Lake, which is, you said, is starting out as an Xbox exclusive, and that's where you're playing it. But talk to me about this game. Let everybody know what it is.
Right. Well, I feel like it's important to note that despite it being an Xbox exclusive right now, it is not on Game Pass.
I know. I was hoping it would be.
Which is rare, but I will say it's worth the $20 for sure.
Oh yeah.
So Lake is a terrible title for SEO, but is a great game. It's just you play as Meredith Weiss, who is a woman who is fast approaching 40, and she has to return to her hometown because her dad is a mailman at their small lakeside town of Providence Oaks. But he wants to go on vacation, and somebody has to cover the mail route, so she uses her vacation to kind of get away from her big city computer programming job and just go deliver mail for her dad in her hometown for a couple weeks. And it really is just 2 weeks of it's in 1986. I guess that's important to note. So it's not really like cell phones or technology or whatever. Right, like a VHS rental store plays a big role in the story.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And they just straight up have like Back to the Future Star Wars box covers, which seems a little. I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
That is interesting. How much did that cost?
Ballsy.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, so a very slice of life game. You're delivering mail, and as you're delivering mail, you'll drop off a package at the diner, and it's your best friend from high school who you haven't kept in touch with, so you have like a really awkward kind of reunion, or you might deliver mail to a woman who's waiting at her mailbox because she's got nothing else going on in her life. So she tries to strike up a conversation. So you just kind of come to know these residents and their stories. And there's no, I wanted to applaud the game because there's no like dark twists at the end of Act 2 or whatever. Like it really is just about a woman reconnecting to her old hometown over the course of 2 weeks.
And then so you go back like the next day and just deliver mail to everybody again and like continue a conversation or get new story beats, more or less?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So you'll do that, and then it might be like, say that high school friend, you break her down enough to be like, hey, we should like hang out and like catch up, and then you'll kind of be like, yeah, let's do it tomorrow night, and then you have to actually wait until you deliver your mail route the next day, and then afterwards you'll be taken away to a scene where you like go to the diner or whatever together. It is mostly just kind of like adventure game talking sort of stuff. Right? There's no like action or anything outside of driving the mail truck, which you could also just set to autopilot if you want and just kind of relax. But I mean, it is really just about getting to know people, and and it does it very well, right? Because in video games, you're usually the instigator, right? And the quests always happen because you're involved, and it almost feels like a lot of times the characters don't have lives outside of the protagonist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
they're waiting to give you a quest for you to get involved in, but you're just like coming into the middle of these people's story, like this guy fighting to try to keep apartments out of the woodland area, right? This lumberjack, and he's mostly just updating you because you're the mail woman. You could like help out here or there, like where you can, but it is like it's his story, and you just kind of have to, you're just kind of seeing it through a male person's eyes, basically.
It just sounds like a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Like no real drama, just like normal everyday stuff.
Very relaxing, and I dare to say it was like meditative at times for me.
I feel like this is an Alyssa game.
Yeah, I think you would like it a lot, Alyssa. Yeah, but I can't recommend it enough. It's just nice. It's only like 6 or 7 hours, right? So it doesn't last long enough for it to feel repetitive or tiring, and the mail routes are just long enough each day. Like it's probably like 5-10 minutes of driving or something every day. So it's just not too much or anything, and you can kind of get involved with a character story as much as you want to. Like there's this jerk running the motel who was like, I don't have the time of day for this guy. I don't even want to bother trying to see his story. So like it's up to you to see how involved you want to get with people. It's just like a real slice of life thing, and then you're basically, you as Meredith are she's having her midlife crisis, as it were, where do you want to keep at the big city job that's wearing you down but it pays super well, or do you want to like come back to town, or do you want to venture out somewhere else or something? Like you're learning more about yourself while you're interacting with townspeople. It's really great, man. If
I'm curious, can you like just deliver the mail and like not engage conversation and just go do your thing and then like just go through the 2 weeks that way? I mean, I know it doesn't sound like fun, but I'm just curious if it lets you have that freedom.
Yeah, the majority of conversations give you an option where you're just like, okay, well, see ya. and like just awkwardly try to move on with your day. So it's possible, but I don't really. It's definitely not the route I tested here on my first playthrough.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Be
knowing you.
mailman simulator.
Right. I mean, honestly, I kind of. They need to. I would not be opposed to them adding a mode where it's just we're just going to give you mail routes every day, and I'll just play it after a hard day at work and just relax. Maybe I need to be a mailman. That'd be kind of fun.
Paperboy for a modern generation console.
Right. Yeah, it's a Paperboy for the artistic hipster crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
like it.
If you are intrigued narrative, I feel like slice of life games are few and far between, and even fewer and further between are games where it has an older female protagonist. So it's just something very different as well.
Cool. So it sounds like you love Lake, and I think you sold Alyssa on it for sure.
You did, Zach. You did.
I think Alyssa, you'd be very happy with the $20.
Cool. Well, thanks for checking that out, man. I do appreciate it. Before we move on to our topic for the week, I want to remind everybody about our Facebook group, which can be found at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. I try to keep that up with any news that I find, as well as all of our episodes and all that jazz. Also, our Discord is live and thriving. It's available. There's a link in the show notes for this very episode. And also, if you get a chance, drop us a review for this episode. Whether you're on, I don't even know if Amazon Music does reviews, but I know that Apple Podcast does, and several other platforms. Let us know what you think of the show. We really do appreciate it. And lastly, our website, thegamingoutsider.com. That's where you can find all of our content, including our written reviews, which includes a written review from Jacob this week on Greek Memories of Azure. And then Kevin reviewed 2 games for us, Have a Blast and Super Sammy Roll, which he's talked about on the show in the past. So be sure to check out the website. Again, it is thegamingoutsider.com. Let's now go to our From the Outside In topic. One of our favorite From the Outside In topics is when we ask our community for questions and discussion topics for us to talk about on the show. And since it's the first episode of the month, we're doing it once again. We've compiled questions from Facebook and Discord that you, the Gaming Outsider community, has provided for us. And we're going to just kind of go around the room, read these questions, and answer them. So, you know what, Zach? I'm going to let you kick things off on Facebook with Calvin Myers' comment there.
Oh, man. Calvin Myers asked the hardest question here. Yeah? What do you consider an actual RPG? I pose this because more and more games these days tend to be very heavily RPG-centric. I don't mind, but almost every game coming out is some sort of RPG hybrid. Am I making much sense or just rambling? Kelvin is completely correct. Every game has an RPG mechanic. I think the difference for me, and this is just spitballing because it is kind of a very nebulous thing, is how much those mechanics really matter. Because I've been experimenting a lot, especially this year in games, with just trying not to interact with like a major game's RPG mechanics and seeing how far you can get. And you can get pretty far in a lot of these games without upgrading or doing anything interesting. And it's almost like a veneer of actual like choice in upgrading, right? I think God of War was especially bad with this, where it was just upgrades for the sake of upgrades. Mm-hmm. The most recent one. And so I think in RPG, those sort of mechanics like your shops and your towns and stuff are like they're the forefront.
Interesting. Alyssa, what's your take?
I mean, when I think of RPGs, typically my mind just jumps to JRPGs for some reason. Just having, a bunch of quests, you have different options, dialogue-wise, romance-wise, etc. Having the upgrades, but they're meaningful. Having a pretty strange story most of the time, but just loving it. I mean, that's what really comes to mind. There have been excellent, RPGs from different countries, such as, the Witcher franchise was great. And even things like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, to a degree. I mean...
Yeah, I guess
it's an interesting... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say where your choices as a player probably matter, but that's not even true, right? Because, I would say Diablo is definitely an RPG, and you're not really making a whole lot of tough choices there.
True, yeah.
It's an interesting question, and we actually did an entire episode or an entire From the Outset In topic around this. Like, how do you define an RPG? I was trying to look it up while you guys were answering the question, but I'm trying to remember what my answer was. Because we kind of went round and round about it so long ago. I think it was with the new crew, so I'm going to try to reference the episode if I can find it, but. You mentioned at the very beginning that all games can be considered an RPG because by definition it stands for role-playing game. By very definition, a video game, you are playing some role, right? I'm like Alyssa, when I hear RPG, I just immediately think that the turn-based RPGs, JRPGs. But then you have Western RPGs where like we've got things that are a little bit more open world, and So when I think of an RPG, I think of something where you were growing a character.
Mm-hmm.
Where you start very low stats and you were building up to something. But I wouldn't consider like a Far Cry. I wouldn't consider that an RPG. Like a skill tree to me is a little bit different than actually like leveling up, if that makes sense. And I know it doesn't make any sense really, but there's something about the medieval setting that to me fits with an RPG, which I know isn't fair because there's plenty of RPGs that.
I think that might be your Final Fantasy influence, right?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, or anything. I mean, look at like you mentioned Quest 64 before. Like that's an RPG. You know what I mean?
I think ultimately we just have to defer to the Supreme Court's definition on porn, right? You know it when you see it.
Okay.
There's something about the feel there's something about the feel or a vibe where like I'm sure Calvin knows too. Like you can just kind of pick up on the vibe of a game. You're like, oh, that's an RPG. Mm-hmm. But you look at a different game like Horizon, you're like, oh, it's an action game and it has RPG elements.
Yeah, and I think also the tabletop RPG element factors in too. Like before, I don't know if I would have considered like Fallout to be an RPG.
Madness, but continue.
No. I'm just saying because knowing what I know now about tabletop RPGs after playing, my first Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I mean, you're right. It is kind of madness because you're clearly leveling up a character, but maybe the setting was throwing me off because I'm so used to things like Skyrim. Like, see, I would consider Skyrim to be an RPG, but I think twice about Fallout, probably because it's not fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a personal hang up in my head, but we could seriously have like a whole hour-long discussion about what this. But for me, the core thing that makes something an RPG is a progression, a character progression, not just only in stats, but also in narrative storytelling. I think that a combination of that is really what defines a role-playing game because you are playing as a role and growing as a character. So that's probably the beginning part of my I feel like I need to write a thesis now about what makes an RPG an RPG. But great question, Calvin. Thank you so much for that one. Alyssa, why don't you go tackle the next one?
Sean Coates says, what are some of your favorite game series or franchises that debuted on 7th generation consoles?
Gonna have to help me out, Zach. What's 7th generation?
Yeah, I'm like, what's 7th generation?
Oh, the Xbox 360, PS3.
Okay.
Oh,
wait,
man.
I guess would the Wii U be in there?
Boy, he said that launched or debuted on the 7th generation consoles.
For me, I can just say right off the bat, because it was one of my favorites until actually the 8th generation, and I think it's a franchise that probably most defined the 7th generation would be Assassin's Creed.
Sure.
Yeah.
That first one, I love the first one. Probably wouldn't be able to play it now.
Me too. We are in rare company, but yeah, I absolutely adore the first one. Second one, of course, is great. Brotherhood. I think Brotherhood is the objective best, but Assassin's Creed 3 is definitely my personal favorite.
Scott is holding a copy of Assassin's Creed 3 up for us.
Sorry, Connor.
I went to a game shop. I went to a game shop recently where I bought a game for my collection when I was in Florida, of all places, and they said, "Oh, by the way, you get a pick of whatever free game you want out of here." And I could not find anything that I needed, and I just said, "I don't know if I have Assassin's Creed 3 digitally, so I might as well just add that to the collection." So there you have it.
I love that game.
I love how that game intros. Oh my god, one of the best intros of a game. We mention it every time we bring it up, but yeah, I mean, Gears of War is an easy answer.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
fantastic.
I feel like my Xbox fanboy is coming out with that a little bit, but I mean, it was only on Xbox, and I
could think of so many games for this question, to be honest.
Right? Yeah,
I mean, Gears is Zach. You might not be as good of friends if it weren't for Gears.
Yeah, I would say that's unequivocally true.
Yeah,
that really is how we started this friendship. Yes,
bonded. I will never forget. I felt like I was cool for a moment because I was playing with Zack, and we were playing with Aaron, and it was a new map. Like we had either like downloaded a map or it was the first time we had on a map, and I'm running around just trying to learn the map because I'm like, we're not going to win this game. I don't know the map. And Aaron's like, "What are you doing? What are you like, dude? I'm trying to learn the map." And Zach was like, "Yeah, dude, leave him alone. He's learning the map. That's a pretty good strategy." And I was like, "Yes." Zach thinks I'm cool.
Wow, I don't know the story, but now I kind of feel flattered. I feel like the prettiest girl at the prom right now.
Yeah, you
are.
What else, man? There's so many. There's so many.
Oh, no.
Portal. I mean, I guess Portal was a PC game, but Portal 2. I mean, that was where I was introduced to Pinball FX. I won't, talk about that too long.
Right. Yeah, if we'll get the obvious ones out of the way. Nier for me. We don't have to talk about that too long.
Yes, Nier.
Right. I mean, there's just so many games, but Assassin's Creed is a big one.
The Arkham franchise.
Oh man, yeah.
BioShock.
I remember
BioShock.
Oh my god,
wow.
BioShock. Yeah. There's just too many. We could just do this forever
Mass
and
Effect.
ever. Yeah, that's right. That was on that generation, wasn't it? It wasn't on PC until later, right?
I believe so. Could be wrong.
Oh my goodness. What was the JRPG that was on 4 discs that I really liked? The art.
Lost Odyssey?
Lost Odyssey.
I love that game.
Yeah.
The game where everybody stops at the same boss fight.
Because you have to grind.
See, he's just so much more powerful than anything you faced before. And if you're listening and you play Lost Odyssey, you know exactly the boss fight I'm referring to.
I do know what boss you're referring to because I was so frustrated.
It just comes out of nowhere. It's absurd.
That's also one of the first games I ever played where I actually played with Japanese voices and English subtitles. That's one of the first ones I remember doing because I remember the drunk character was just freaking hilarious in Japanese. Like there's something about Japanese words being slurred that just sounds amazing to me. I don't know. Boy, let's talk about some PS3 ones because there were some good ones there too.
Uncharted, Infamous.
Uncharted,
yes,
yeah.
Uncharted.
Resistance? I don't know. That's a smaller crowd. I guess I really don't love Resistance now that I think about it. Now I'm just listing games I know.
Yeah. I remember the second Infamous game is one of the first reviews I ever wrote. And I wasn't even writing it for us. I was writing for the local paper at that point. And I remember writing a review and I just had this super awesome intro. I should go find it. I was proud of myself. It's probably terrible now, but in the first Infamous game, it was so much fun just clearing. That was a checklisting game for Scott Clark right there.
Yeah, I 100% that one.
Yeah.
Oh, so I've got a game.
Okay.
Okay. I actually played it on PS3 because it was the director's cut, but this is the most divisive game according to, I think, Guinness Book of World Records.
All right.
Deadly Premonition.
Oh, man.
I love this game. I love it.
There's a game with a lot of slice of life elements.
It's crazy. There's horror elements. There's slice of life.
Right, but don't you have to shower and shave in that game?
Yeah, you have to shower, shave, or
awesome.
you get a pay deduction. You have to eat, and like a pack of crackers costs $40.
What?
Yeah, it's.
Is that the one that some publication gave it like a 10 out of 10?
Yeah, there were 10 out of 10s and 1 out of 10s for this game.
Yeah.
Jim Sterling. Yeah.
Stephanie Sterling now.
Yes.
Gave Deadly Permission a 10 out of 10 for Destructoid. Very contentious.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
I love it,
interesting
though.
coming from a guy that craps on so many other things, or girl that craps on so many other things.
It's basically Twin Peaks as a video game.
And that's
And
a
I
show
love
I'd
it.
go see.
Twin Peaks is amazing.
I really do have to sit down and play Deadly Premonition. I think that one has it's on Switch, I think. Right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, they put it on
Patreon
Switch.
episode.
But I don't think it's the director's cut.
Okay. Man, that seems like a game I would absolutely adore.
It sounds like it.
I even like the second one that came out last year that most people hated, so.
Okay.
But the first one is better.
I think I tried to play it on 360, and I think the frame rate legitimately gave me a headache.
Wow.
Because that game runs like crap.
Yeah, I heard the 360 version, it doesn't run well. PS3,
Yeah.
it doesn't run great, but it's a lot better.
I was used to that with PS3 games, because the PS3 port of every game was way inferior to the 360 version.
I have a couple obscure ones.
Amy?
I didn't play Amy.
I think Amy is the lowest Metacritic score PlayStation exclusive.
Is
or
it?
PS3
I don't
exclusive.
even know what Amy is.
You play as a woman who's infected with the zombie virus, but you carry a little girl around you because whenever she's near you, she can keep the virus at bay.
Oh, that game. Okay.
So you
I
would have
remember
to.
it now.
So all of the puzzles
premise.
in the game were. No, it is. It's a great premise. But then, like in the opening cutscene, your character has a sister that dies like off screen, and we're supposed to be sad about it. So it's not a great start right there. And then every single puzzle is about how do I get the little girl to the area where the woman can get to, and it's just that over and over again. And it's one of those games that's so bad I would recommend playing it because it's bad in profoundly unthinkable ways.
Oh,
The game ends in the middle of a cutscene. It just starts rolling credits in the middle of a cutscene.
What?
I don't know if it was bad
like a
programming.
Sopranos.
It's not even like you can tell like the character's like mid sentence. Like it's I don't know if they programmed the credits wrong or something and just never fixed it. But it's straight up embarrassing. Great premise though.
Now I gotta look it up on YouTube to see what.
Yeah.
How
I got a
this
good
is
one.
implemented.
50 Cent, Blood on the Sand.
I never
Ooh,
played
but
it, but I
that's-
saw it all the time.
But that's a sequel, right? That doesn't count. That doesn't fill Sean's question.
That's a sequel? What was the first one?
50 Cent Bulletproof on PS2.
Oh,
yeah.
That wasn't a sequel, was it?
I mean, we
It
can
just
still talk
featured-
about it.
Yeah.
I know one we're not mentioning. The Last of Us came out
Oh,
and
yeah?
ended the PS3 life cycle.
Yeah, how do we miss that?
Yeah, well, it's just so... In my brain, it's a PS4 game, but you're totally right, Alyssa. It's definitely
Mhm.
It just came out so close to PS4, and they remastered it immediately that
Yeah.
it's easy to forget it was on PS3.
What's the Garcia Hotspur game?
Shadows of the Damned.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
god.
I love that game. Along with Lollipop Chainsaw.
Lollipop Chainsaw.
Who? See, guys, no more heroes. That guy knows what's up.
Yeah,
Suda 51.
They were all Suda 51 joints.
they were. I feel like we could go on with this question for like
We
hours.
could.
I got a
Sean
Bayonetta.
Cokes.
Oof, Bayonetta.
Bayonetta. Oh.
Yeah.
Still so sad that we haven't heard anything about it.
I'm going to remember more as we go through these rest of these questions. I'm just
Right.
going to like randomly
Yeah.
shout out a 7th generation game, and you guys are going to know exactly what we're talking
I think
about.
it's going to be really hard to not want to
We
replay
should-
Shadows of the
We
Damned
should all
right
do that.
after
Just
this.
randomly shout out a game title during these questions.
That would be all. Yeah. Just as we think of them. Ooh.
Oh, Shadows of the Dam was so good. It just going back. I tried to go back to it a few years ago, and like the controls are very clunky by today's standards. But that game was just so interesting to me at the time.
Say hello to my Big Johnson.
One of the best supporting characters, by the way, Johnson. The floating skull was so well voiced and just such a fun character. And what a bizarre world that was. He's like a motorcycle rider. I don't know. I can't even like say some of the lines from that movie. It was just so good. But I'm really confused with the next question, Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love that every time Garcia Hotspur says his name, he always adds effing into the middle, like as though that's his actual middle name.
Yep. But it's great. It just rolls off the tongue really well.
Yes.
Zach, I'm very confused by this next question from Andrew Zack, and I don't remember the reference here. Hopefully you can help me out. He
I
said,
don't know it either.
Why did Zach call the fireman instead of his stepbro? What was this?
All right. So Andrew clearly follows me on Twitter because I had an incident, but I'll explain it because now I'm called out, so I have to explain it. But I tweeted about it and deleted the tweet like an hour later because I was like, you know what? Actually, I don't really feel like sharing this. Although now here we are.
He caught it though.
But Andrew must follow me on Twitter, man. He's got a sharp eye. What happened was I was just hanging out at home alone and got locked in the bathroom. Like the latch system broke, so the door handle would not change at all. And I'm on the second floor, so I try that door and I try unscrewing the handle, but then the actual doorknob's got even smaller screws, which I can't get undone. So I can't get in there. And then I'm trying to angle scissors to pop the latch, anything. I can't get this door open. I try shoulder barge.
You're stuck in the bathroom.
I'm stuck in the bathroom. I'm trying to shoulder barge out. Nothing's happening. So I finally call the non-emergency fire department number. And they get the crew out there. Very embarrassing. I'm wrapped in a towel.
You were showering.
Oh, no.
Yes, this is a shower situation. And I waited like an hour in there because I thought like maybe it has something to do with like the heat or something, but no, like the door broke. And so I called the fire department, and a gentleman climbed in through the bathroom window and popped the door open for me. I tried to seduce him.
This is amazing.
Of course, I tried to seduce him, but it didn't work. But he's obviously referring to the fact that I should have called my stepbro because I'm stuck. I was like, oh no, fireman, I'm stuck. Can you help me?
I didn't realize that's where we were going.
That's where Andrew's taking it.
What are you doing, stepbro?
Yes.
Okay, I got you now.
Yeah, that wasn't.
I didn't get it at first, and then it clicked.
Yeah, my door frame's all destroyed and stuff right now. But yeah, that was my Thursday night, guys.
Wow. That's why you always take your phone everywhere with you, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good thing I can't live with a minute of silence and have to have a podcast going at all times. Otherwise,
Even
I might not have
taking a shower.
Or else I might not have that phone in there.
I thought I was alone in that. I always have something going on a Bluetooth speaker in my bathroom when I'm in the shower.
I don't want to start thinking about my regrets, Scott.
Shower thoughts with Zack Parkerson.
I don't. That's a dark podcast.
Anyway, I had no idea what that was. I'm glad we brought that up because that story just kind of made me smile. I can't believe you were stuck in a bathroom for an hour.
Oh, I was stuck in the bathroom for like 2 hours.
Oh, jeez.
No, that's even worse.
Well, it's an emergency, right? Like they had to go take care of the actual problems before they got to the loser stuck in their bathroom.
Oh my, that's wow. There's wow. All right.
So that's a new one.
Who's up? I think Zach, you're up again.
Yeah, it's Zach's turn.
All right, Brandon, please save us. Brandon Lloyd asks, what game that was bashed or hated that you loved or didn't deserve it? I just finished Mass Effect Andromeda, and it was easily better than 3, and possibly the best crew and banner of all of them. Hell, the Ket weren't bad either. I think I got a lot.
You got a lot. Go ahead, because I don't know if I have one.
The very first one I thought of was Assassin's Creed 3, which I think has just an undeservedly bad rap. A lot of people hate on the game. A lot of people hate Connor, even though I think he's the strongest of the assassins. And just I think it wrapped up Desmond's story in a way that I found satisfactory. Although none of the other games have dealt with the threat that was unleashed in that game, except for I think a side novel disposed of that threat, which was what several games were building towards. But whatever. So I think Assassin's Creed 3 is a good answer here. Or Dragon Age 2 is a game I absolutely adore. And I don't think it nails everything, but the idea of it's an RPG about one city over the span of 10 years is just such a novel and interesting concept. And I think they do it well enough that I don't think it didn't deserve the heat it got at all. Its biggest problem was that they put the 2 in the title. If that had been a spin-off from the start, or they just labeled it as such, I think it would have been much better received.
All right.
So
do you have any?
There's a couple.
All right, I know you got more. We're going to come back to you.
No, I'm sure. Those are the 2 that came to mind right away.
The first thing that comes to my mind is Deadly Premonition 2, because it is admittedly not as good as the first game. And obviously, since the first game was so divisive, the second one's going to be as well. I had fun with it. It does have issues, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it had that, the sweary 65 touch. And it just brought me back into the world of Deadly Premonition, which I love. Francis York Morgan, love that character. I felt again like I was kind of like in Twin Peaks, but not as much as the first game. I didn't hate it as much as most people did. I actually had a lot of fun with it. Played it all the way through. Really enjoyed it. And there's also a game, I believe it was on the 360, that people bashed called Wet. It was fun.
Wet was great.
Yeah.
I didn't know people didn't like that game.
I've heard a lot of people bash it.
Yeah, it's
Was that Elijah Dushku?
It was Elijah Dushku.
Elijah Dushku. It was fun. So those are... Also, I really enjoyed Mass Effect Andromeda as well.
I've not
as much as the first three, but...
The one that stands out to me is I feel like so many people hated on Fallout 4. After Fallout 3 was just such, loved by everybody, and then Fallout 4 brought the, base mechanics and whatever, which you didn't have to do for very long. But the rest of the game was really good. Like, the stories were just as good, and there was one mission where, like, you were, like, basically touring Boston, like, on a history lesson. You had to follow these, like, symbols that were on the ground and pointed you to the next place you had to go to, and you kind of went, I don't know, just Paul Revere's ride, and, like, there was just so much cool stuff that happened in that game. And then the twist at the end, did you play through Fallout 4, Zach?
No.
Like,
I didn't either.
There was an interesting twist at the end of the game that I actually called. I more or less like jokingly said, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? And then they actually did it, and I felt super smart. But a lot of people thought that was really dumb, and I thought it was really great. So, I don't know. I don't understand why people hated on Fallout 4. I played the mess out of it. Probably not as much as Fallout 3, but still really good.
Very excited for Fallout 4, but then it came out the same day as Rise of the Tomb Raider, so I had to pick one. And I just never got around to Fallout 4. I think part of it was I had the Pip-Boy edition pre-ordered, and I had the Rise of the Tomb Raider collection edition pre-ordered, and then they turned out to be released on the same day, so I had to pick one, and I was so sad about losing the Pip-Boy edition that I just never... I wasn't in a rush to play a Fallout 4, because it was almost felt like it was going to be depressing now without the Pip-Boy. And then I just never got to it.
Yeah, because that was one where you could actually like put a phone or something into it and have the actual Pip-Boy on your arm while you were playing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sounds rad. But that does make me think, like, Fallout 2, also another game that gets a bad rap, but is my favorite Fallout game. Like, it's
Fallout 2?
Yeah, I love that game to absolute pieces.
I've never played anything prior to Fallout 3.
I haven't either.
Why was it so... I thought everyone loved the first two Fallout games.
Well, people love the first one a lot. I mean, maybe time has been better to it, but I remember people talking about how, like, because Fallout 2 like underperformed compared to the first one. So, and then, I mean, maybe I'm wrong now. I don't know. People probably do like it now. You're probably right. But I remember at the time trying to convince everyone who was falling in love with Fallout for the first time with Fallout 3, like, guys, you got to play Fallout 2, and everyone just kind of talking smack. So maybe it was just an anecdotal experience, now that I think about it.
Didn't you really like the Alone in the Dark game on Xbox 360?
How dare you out me on this podcast? That's a deeply held secret. Yes,
I remember you emailing me or texting or whatever it was back early in the day, and you said you thought it was a very fine game, I believe is the way you described it.
That sounds like something
It's a very fine game.
That sounds exactly like something I would write. Yes, I think it's a very fine product. First of all, it's got Max Payne's voice actor as the lead, James McCaffrey, so that instantly won it points. But it honestly did a lot of the stuff Alan Wake did before Alan Wake did it. Like, it was an episodic horror game, in a Alan Wake, I guess, dropped the open world stuff, but it had like a lot of car stuff as well. And instead of Alan Wake, everything's about light, and Alone in the Dark, it was all about fire to destroy the enemies and stuff. And yeah, I acknowledge it is nothing like the Alone in the Dark franchise at all. It's definitely more of an action game, but it had this really cool fire mechanic where you would have to throw a zombie into a table, right? So that way it would break, and then you could grab the table leg, and then you'd have to use the right analog stick to like lift it up to the fire and to beat the enemy. So it was almost like every fight was a puzzle, and it was really cool. And it ran like a turd. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but there was something about it. And then there were these trees of evil you could destroy. I remember there were 100 of them in Central Park because that was where the open world was. and I felt compelled to do them all. And I remember being upset that the game doesn't, because it only makes you do like 20 of them out of the 100. I was like, they should have made you do more, because I think a lot of the most clever stuff was in those kind of side quests, because you would have to try to burn them, right? But you would need a lot of fire because they're giant trees. So you'd have to do these like really almost like Rube Goldberg-esque machine, like, set a fire trail from the police station, like by puncturing your gas tank to start a leak, and then like using that as a fire trail up the build, like up a ramp or something to try to like get, and then you would like throw a Molotov behind you while you're in the air to like set the gas trail on fire so it would catch the tree in midair and stuff. It was had a lot of very clever ideas, and I don't think people gave it a lot of time because the dialogue is awful and it doesn't run very well. But I liked it.
Two important things.
And the ending is, well, the dialogue was definitely wonky in places because they say very silly things very seriously. But that was also just kind of a 2009 problem in general, if you remember, like Bionic Commando and such. But the ending is very bleak and very interesting as well. So yeah, that game's cool. And then before we move on, Splinter Cell Conviction is another game that especially the Splinter Cell fan base hates that game to shreds. I know we love it,
one of the
Scott.
only ones I've completed. I thought it was great.
Don't give me a glare, but if you go anywhere where Splinter Cell fans are online and admit to letting Conviction, you're starting a fight. Because that's the only one that doesn't play like the rest. But I think that game is magnificent.
I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. But again, it was the only one I played, so I didn't have the history like those people on forums did.
Right. When I had the history and still loved it.
Yeah. The only other one I can think of right now is I didn't think Aliens Colonial Marines was as bad as everybody said it was. I mean, obviously the Fireteam Elite plays much better and it's a different kind of game. But I feel like Fireteam Elite is what we kind of wanted. Maybe not necessarily in terms of multiplayer, but in terms of mowing down aliens, that's what we wanted. And Colonial Marines wasn't as bad as everybody talked about, to me. The AI wasn't super smart, but I don't know. I had fun with it.
It looked pretty rough.
The last one.
Borderlands. Another Sean Coates game. The
Wait,
7th generation.
Didn't...
No, I was going back because we were supposed to shout out. I was trying to pull with a bit that we're just supposed to shout random names now. Yeah.
Borderlands.
First Borderlands is great.
Yeah.
Do you have that one on next, like the remake of the first one?
I think I do. I
I know you have Borderlands 3.
I'm pretty sure I have the remake. I'm pretty sure I bought it on a sale or something.
There's 3 of us.
You wouldn't have to convince me to play the first Borderlands.
If you know what, when we're done, I want you to double check and see if you have the third one or the remake of the first one.
Okay.
I bought it, man, a year or 2 ago with the intention of playing with CJ Moore, and like he and I just never got around to it. I would like to go back and revisit the original Borderlands. I remember the opening hub world or whatever. Like you kind of go down the hill.
Yes.
And then then there was like a little like hollowed out gorge or whatever, and then you'd go up, and that's where the guy was that you eventually see in Borderlands 2 that had killed himself. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like sat on a rocker in the front porch or whatever.
And most importantly, it was before Borderlands 2 came and ruined the tone of the franchise forever.
And what's cool is which character do you like to play as?
Oh, Lilith. The siren.
Me too. We're gonna have to fight over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the robot dude. I can't remember his name.
Oh, robot dude.
The like stealthy sniper.
Mordecai.
It's not Zero.
Mordecai was in the first one.
Yeah, with like the bird.
No, Zero. Yeah, Zero's second.
Yeah, Zero's in the second one.
Zero's in the second one. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, it was Mordecai then. I like sniper classes.
Great Tales of the Borderland character, Zero. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up
that's
like
another
once.
one I wouldn't mind.
That game's so good.
So good. All right, Alyssa, I think you're up.
Okay, if I butcher your name, Mark, you have full permission to butcher my first name any way you please. Mark Szymanski?
Szymanski, I believe.
Okay, you have permission, Mark. Says, I've been out of the gaming loop for a very long time. Any games in the last 18 to 24 months which I must check out?
Oh boy. I mean, your best...
Spider-Man Miles Morales?
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 2 is a must play, but if you've played the first one.
Yeah, you gotta play the first one. Let's see.
I mean, just go to our website and look for our top 10 lists. That's an easy place to go to. I'm actually like looking, what do you say, 18 to 24 months?
Yeah, that's the timeline.
Boy. I mean, Astalon is one that I highly recommend right off the top of my head.
If you want to just have a good time, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, if you have a PS5.
Man. If you've got a PS5, that game is worth it just to see what it looks like, if nothing else.
If you have a gamer in your life, It Takes Two.
It Takes Two is a must play if you've got someone to play it with. My goodness. I'm like ready to play through that again, actually.
It's
like as the other character, because didn't you play as the female?
I did play it. Yeah. Well, that's not rare. Yeah, you should play as a girl.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, you could play it. It would be somewhat of a different experience.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
Each person did something different.
If you have a Switch, Bowser's Fury comes to mind.
That's a good one.
I think that's one of the best Mario games in a long time.
Katana Zero is a fantastic little indie title that you can pick up pretty much anywhere. Control.
Is that,
although we seem to be in the minority of people that really like that game.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima is fantastic.
Wonderful.
If you like multiplayer shooters, I really dug The Division 2. A lot.
I'm a little older.
I love Judgment. I was obsessed with it. The sequel is coming out
I gotta play that game.
I love Judgment, so you do not have to know anything about the Yakuza series. This is a spin-off, but you don't have to have any knowledge. It's great.
And it has English voiceover, right?
Yeah, it's got an English dub,
yeah.
Or you can do the Japanese voice with the English subtitles. So you can have that option. Great game.
Yeah, if you like Resident Evil, Village probably goes a long way, but it didn't do it for me as much.
I mean, you could... Oh, no, wait. Resident Evil Biohazard came out years ago.
Right,
Just disregard that.
Resident Evil Biohazard.
Yeah, that was PS4, so...
That was 7, yeah. Yeah, but I think that about... Right. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. I mean, that's definitely a niche game, though. That won't appeal to everybody.
Let's see. I think I'm up with GamerDad03. I remember the good old days of gaming conventions. We could go out, hang out, and have fun playing and trying some games. My question is, will there be any live PAX convention soon? And will the Gaming Outsider attend it? To my knowledge, none of us are planning to go to PAX. Although I think PAX is happening, isn't it?
Yeah, PAX West, I believe, is going on right now.
Yes, in Seattle, right?
Yeah, Seattle.
I know CB has really wanted to go to PAX for a long time. He was talking about up and going one year, but it's just a weird time to be traveling.
Yeah,
to a convention right now.
I don't think I'm not personally ready for conventions, so I don't think
no.
And
I would love to go to a convention, but not with the vid going around.
But I gotta tell you, next year I have to imagine Rock River Valley Video Game Convention.
It's the plan. We're looking at September, so
I want to come to that one.
You better come to that one.
I want to meet all of you and give you all huge hugs.
Yeah, I've never met you in person.
We'll have to make you a bowling shirt.
Yes.
I want a bowling shirt.
Yeah.
We should probably get her one anyway. Have you seen the ones that we made?
No, I haven't.
But we handed them out. We handed them out at R2V2. I think it's okay to wait until R2V2 rolls around.
That's true.
Presented in person, so that it's like it'll be like a ceremony almost.
Yeah. We had bowling shirts made that were like the colors of our website, and they each had the logo on one side and then our name embroidered on the other side.
That's so cool.
So like it was our way for everyone to know who was an actual staff member at R2V2. It was a lot of fun. So unless things just keep going the way they're going, the plan is to have R2V2 in September of next year. So CB and I are already looking into some places. We've got a place scoped out that would be even larger than where we were our first year. So guess you're just gonna have to come to our convention, Gamer Dad. Zach, you're up. We got a few more here.
Bit of a leading question here from Kevin Honigford. If you could ever do a special episode all about the greatest console, the Sega Genesis, why would it be really soon, and why wouldn't Scott be a participant?
I wouldn't be a participant either, to be fair, because I've never played one.
Wow.
I am just making everyone either shocked or mad.
You're putting
well,
a target.
especially Kevin.
You're putting a target on your back.
I'm so sorry, Kevin. Don't hate me.
Kevin loves his Genesis and loves his Sonic. Trust me, we had a very long, inebriated discussion about which was better, Sonic 2 or Super Mario Brothers 3. That was a very interesting conversation that I wish we had been recording. Outside of the language.
Well, I can only imagine what side you were on.
Well, I was more of like a listening in on the conversation because I had no skin in the game because I'd only played Super Mario Brothers 3. But I think part of the conversation steered toward which was better, Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World. So I was able to engage in that conversation. But it was just fascinating to listen to these guys talk about Sonic 2, a game I haven't played, and made me really want to try to give it another shot because man, he loves that game.
For the record, Kevin, I like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 more than any Mario game.
You just made his day. I think you're just trying to score brownie points with Kevin.
It's the truth. I spent way more time with the Genesis than I did the Super Nintendo.
Tell you what, Kevin, maybe we'll go back and since we missed the 30th anniversary, maybe we'll have Kevin host a Patreon episode where he gives a history lesson on the Sega Genesis. Play the Zack role and let him do it just because to make up
dare
for it.
You?
No, just all right. We'll just have him on. Have you do the history lesson, and then have Kevin be on to gush about all the games that he loves in that.
Either way, one of us would be the professor, and the other would be the TA.
There you go. There you go. All right. Next up, Alyssa.
CJ Moore, again, this with Mark's name, going along with Mark Zemansky.
The only reason I know is we have a teacher at my school by the same last name.
Again, Mark, I am so sorry. I hate when people butcher my name, so please feel free to butcher my first name as much as you want because I feel so bad about this. CJ would love to know, actually, 3 to 5 must-play indie titles that he should check out. T for God, anyone?
I don't know T for God.
I don't either. Never heard of it until now.
Gotta check it out, though.
But asking for 3 to 5 must-play indie games.
I mean, I mentioned Assalon already.
Right, I would... Haven. I'm going to throw out Haven from the Game Bakers. Tremendous.
Mm-hmm. I just had one. Is Hades considered indie?
I was gonna say, yeah. Indie's so nebulous, right? But I guess Hades would be right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say I thoroughly enjoyed Golf Story on Switch, which sounds silly, but that was a great little game. I love that one. Katana Zero. We mentioned that one already.
That's a good weird one. Hotline Miami. I love Hotline Miami.
Boy,
I'm trying to think of some.
Blossom Tales is a Zelda clone that I enjoyed quite a bit. If you like Zelda,
I guess
he's straight up a Zelda clone.
He's probably talking the last 18-24 months, right? If we're going with Mark's thing.
That's an older one.
Okay, yeah.
18 to 24 months.
Well, so if you're thinking of all the indie games ever, I think this could be a very long list.
It would be very, very, very long list. I'm just trying to go back to the games that I've reviewed to see which ones.
I will say Spiritfarer is just such a relaxing game about just loss and coming to acceptance with it. It's beautiful. It does get a little grindy at points, but it's worth it for the character interactions and just seeing how beautiful this game is. It's very soothing. They're coming out with a bunch of DLC. Like, I think a lot of it's free. And it's on Game Pass.
Along similar lines about accepting loss, Lost Words Beyond the Page is a very good indie game that just came out recently.
What's it on?
I think it's on all the big three.
Okay.
It's written by Rihanna Pratchett of Tomb Raider fame.
I don't know why I haven't heard of this game, but it sounds like my kind of game.
It's
Space Outer Charlie. Do you remember when I reviewed that game and just made me smile? You're
Yes,
laughing
I
at me.
remember.
That game put a smile on my face like you wouldn't believe. I really dug that game. Mighty Goose. Mighty Goose is like a Contra clone or Metal Slug type clone that is just ridiculous, but it is an absolute blast to play.
I really, really enjoyed Where the Heart Leads. I believe it's PlayStation exclusive. Wonderful, wonderful story. Loved it. If
you want a less thoughtful game, Habroxia 2 is an excellent arcade shooter that came out. I want to say the start of this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was the one that was completely modular.
Right,
you can kind of play it whatever way you wanted to.
You can basically set the difficulty yourself, yeah. And you can beat it in about a weekend. Which is perfect.
Was good. Undermine, which if you've got Xbox Game Pass, that is a great roguelike.
I think Scott's just going through quite a bit. List of games he's reviewed now.
I am. I'm just looking. I'm trying to think of ones. Oh, this one I've got to mention. Outbuddies DX, which is a Metroidvania clone made by a single developer. That game was great.
I'm pretty sure it's a gear-gated game, but yeah.
Gear-gated game. I'm sorry. Yeah, we don't call them Metroidvanias anymore.
Come on.
I'll stop there.
Help me out here, bro.
Gear-gated game. All right. David Newman asks, why do you think the Nemesis system has not been used since its introduction in Shadow of Mordor? I have to imagine it's copyrighted or something. It's the only thing I
think it's copyrighted.
I have a slightly more interesting answer.
Yeah.
So Mike Bithell of Bithell Games addressed this in a podcast once, where he said like, I think it is patented, but only like for like orcs or something like that. It's something like more specific than you think. But he was talking about the programming for it is actually very simple, and that he figured out how to do a Nemesis S system in about a weekend. The problem is that unless you're designing the game around the system, you won't notice its existence.
Huh.
Because unless you make it a highlighted feature that kind of interrupts the game, like say if you did a Batman, right? Like you would have to highlight, you would have to do the thing where Mordor does, where like they do a little cutscene introduction to remind you that like, oh hey, this is the guy you beat up, because you're already tracking so many things, especially in an open world game, that to expect the gamer to remember, oh hey, like remember 8 hours ago that guy with the red tie? Yeah, you beat him up. Remember, now he's there. So you kind of have to make the game about the system to make it interesting. And he posited that that's why you haven't seen anybody clone it, really, is because it wouldn't. It would be. He said it would just be, and he's designed some very interesting games. He just said it would be a very difficult feature to implement as just a feature, unless you implement it as the feature.
That is a much more educated answer than what Alyssa and I gave. So thank you.
And I defer to him because he's made some award-winning video games, so he probably knows what he's talking about.
He has. Is that the podcast that he does with Alana Pierce and Troy Baker?
And Austin Winter, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. He's the musician or the composer.
Yeah, the first 60 or 70 episodes are very good, very educational, and very organized, and then it starts to get a little more conversational than it was. But if you want to learn more about the games industry, those first 50 episodes or so is a pretty remarkable crash course.
And I love how like they don't do intro music, and they just start talking. It almost feels like whenever you listen to that podcast, it's like, did I miss something? They just kind of forget all that and have good conversation, and it's fascinating. So
yeah.
Last question is on you, Zach.
Drew Ross asks, what do other drivers do or do not do that gives you the most road rage? In Kansas,
not use a turn signal.
Yep, in Kansas City, nobody uses a turn signal. I don't know how it is elsewhere, but I drove in Illinois quite a bit, and I remember people signaling to change lanes, but nobody does that here in Kansas City. And I remember specifically in my first job here in Kansas City, I asked a coworker why they don't do that, and they asked, "Are you supposed to?" So that told me a lot about Kansas City's driver education program.
What's it there for?
It makes the little clicky sound.
Dude, I mean, to get a driver license here, you only have to get a 60 out of 100 on the test.
60?
Out of 100. So it's just like a regular school test, but for a several ton vehicle where people die all the time. They're just like, yeah, sure, good enough, I guess.
When I took my test here in Alabama, I had to get a 90 out of 100 to pass.
Yeah. It's not like it's difficult. Like, I don't know. Like, everything on a driving test to me is just like common sense. Or most of it is common sense.
I always make the joke they give them out with Cracker Jacks here. It's just... Yeah.
I don't get road rage a lot because I'm not an aggressive driver at all. I'm very much a defensive driver. But what gets me going more than anything is not necessarily when I'm driving, but when I'm sitting on my house. I live on a dead-end street, or we got like not even a cul-de-sac. Yeah, we live on a dead-end street. And the amount of traffic with people that refuse to put a muffler on their car and just like rev their engine super loudly, like through this one block street on my neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
drives me insane. Or people that just that aren't happy unless they're going 20 miles over the speed limit. I don't know. This is my old man coming out of me. Like, you're not going to get there that much faster. And then they get mad at you.
If you want all of that, come to Alabama, because it is the most infuriating place to drive.
Is it?
Everyone does everything wrong. And you have to make a 90 out of 100 to pass your driving test, but after you pass the driving test, who cares anymore?
Yeah, isn't that weird that there's no continuing education when it comes to operating a vehicle? Like, the most you have to do is go, like, get your vision rescreened every once in a while. That's it.
I don't even have to do that.
Really?
Nope.
Like every 8 years or so, you have to go to the DMV here and like look in a little machine so that they can tell me if the blinking. And it's always a pattern. It's like, okay, it's on the left, it's on the right, it's on the left. It's just dumb.
What's weird to me is that every state treats it differently.
Yeah. Why is that not like a universal?
that feels like of all the things that are federal, you think that would be one of them because you can just cross state lines, right? No questions asked.
Right. It's not like, oh, you have to have a special license to drive in Wisconsin if you have an Illinois license.
No, yeah, it's always baffled me.
It has baffled me. But thank you to everybody for all those questions. They were a lot of fun to answer. We had a good time going through that, as we do. We'll do it again in October, but we'll have a back to our normal From the Outside In topics next week. We haven't decided what's going to be yet, so send us your ideas if you have something that we should discuss on our From the Outside In topics. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Zach, any parting words before you get out of here?
I checked out the Demon Slayer manga, and I mention it only because I think the anime is hot garbage. And I talked about this on Twitter a little bit.
It hurts my soul.
I thought the anime, personally, was borderline unwatchable. But the manga is actually tremendous, and I really want to read it more. It might make the anime more bearable, but the anime, Alyssa, to me, did the thing where a character says a thing, but then he internally thinks about it, and then he says it with anger the next time or whatever. So you're just hearing these people, and it's like, they're so clearly buying time, which is weird, because the manga moves, right? Like the first chapter of the manga is the whole first anime episode, which is not usually the pace transition. So I'm glad people love the anime. That's fine. But I thought all the hype was bunk because I was like, what the hell? I don't know what the hell people are watching.
I have Nezuko as... Dang it. Nezuko as Pikachu. Or Pikachu as Nezuko.
That's very weird. That's just a weird thing to make. But I understand the hype now a little bit, and what I really like is that the manga's over, so I know I have a destination, and I think I'm all in. I was trying to like fervently look because I got the first one from the library, and I was like, when can I get the second one? I got the second one right now, second volume. So I am on the hype train. I don't know if it'll rekindle me
on the Mugen train.
I assume that'll be a reference I understand later.
Oh, it's the movie. The Demon Slayer movie that came out.
The highest grossing Japanese film of all time or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
That's insane.
Beat out Spirited Away.
That franchise is on top of the weeaboo world, as it were.
I haven't read the manga, so maybe if I read the manga, I'd be like, oh, the anime just doesn't
Maybe I'll barrel through the manga, and then we can talk about how all the differences are.
How many volumes are there, though?
23. What? That's nothing. Compared to
my library doesn't have manga, so I'd have to buy every issue.
I am,
and that's expensive.
You're correct. I was astounded. My library has all 23 volumes.
Wow,
that's pretty rare. Because like I'm reading through Death Note again as well. They have like 1, 3, 6, 7, 8. But
that's
10,
always infuriating.
I hate it. It drives me nuts.
Because they're checked out, or they're just missing.
I'm going to guess somebody checked it
out. Some go out of print
and never brought it back. Right.
It's a thing at the bookstore too. Some just go out of print. Some volumes. So it'll be like 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 13. I'm like, no.
There were some Berserk volumes that were definitely out of print when I was looking for them, and I had to overpay for sure when I was collecting that series.
Alyssa, what about you? Anything you want to recommend before we head out?
Okay, so I've watched the show for the past... Well, it's on 3rd season now, but I love it. I never hear anyone talk about it, but it's Expedition X. It does have a little bit of a tie to the gaming world, because one of the hosts is Jessica Chobot.
Wow.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. But it's her and a guy named Phil Torres, and it's hosted by Josh Gates, which if you watch anything on Discovery, he's involved in so much stuff. This is a spinoff from Expedition Unknown, but Jessica and Phil go and they investigate different towns and different countries, and they are trying to decide or decipher or just, see if, some cryptids, aliens, UFOs, ghosts are actually there. They're real. They exist. Jessica is very much a paranormal believer. Phil is a scientist, so he's very logical about things. And normally I don't watch, ghost hunting shows or anything of that nature, but I like that there's that balance. They do sometimes discover that things are just, they're not real, obviously. Sometimes they can't actually say if it's real or not. So a couple times they've actually said it's real. And they've covered things like, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, the Bell Witch in Tennessee. There have been so many different things. Some alien, not alien footage, but UFO footage that came out recently. It's just fascinating if you're into that kind of stuff, just seeing what they find. And they have such a good rapport. And it's good to see Jessica Chobot back.
Does she ever lick a PSP?
I knew.
No, she does not.
I knew there was no way we were getting through a Jessica Chobot conversation on that coming up.
She does not in this show.
It's really sad that that's what she's remembered for.
It was an eventful moment in many people's lives. I think we can all agree.
It was.
And then also she was in Mass Effect 3.
She was.
Yeah.
Diana Allers.
I think you could.
Interesting.
I think you could knock boots with her.
Yeah, people made a big deal about romancing her.
Yep.
See what I'm missing out on. Let's see. I have 2 music recommendations. I went and saw for the first time in my life last week. I went to see Green Day in concert, and it's weird going to a show where you know pretty much every song that they play, except for one that they played that I did not, off of a recent album called "Still Breathing." I've been listening to on repeat for the last week or so. It's really good. In addition, I'm going to see my favorite band this Thursday in Milwaukee, and they've got a new song. It's Coheed and Cambria. Their new song is called Shoulders. I highly recommend checking out that because it is going back true to form for Coheed and Cambria. I'm hoping that we get to hear some more from their new album that's coming up, but I'm hearing reports. I think Sai from our Discord community saw them a couple weeks ago, and he said that's the only one they played off of the new album. So I'm so excited to see that band. I haven't seen them in years, and really stoked. So those are 2 tracks I would highly recommend everybody check out. Well, Zack, Alyssa, thank you so much for being here with me, as always. It's always good to chat with you guys. And thank you to everybody out there listening. I want to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.